Okay, cool. I shouldn't let anything go to sleep so that doesn't happen again. I have one last thing that I want to try to do before we get started, and that is I want to take this chat and pop it out once more, move it up here to a third monitor so I can actually, hopefully, see what is on the chat while I'm working. Cool. Yeah, this is great. This is working out great. And then I gotta come up with some music to listen to. So let's put that on and let's get started. Any song requests? A friend of mine had suggested Bad Omens, and I've been listening to them quite a bit. They're pretty good. Sleep Token, also pretty good. We might just start there. Yeah, we'll start with Sleep Token. Yeah, 3D objects rendering on the screen. No, I've not really done anything like that. I know that like if we're speaking specifically in the Zig space, what we've got is Mock. So Mock is this game engine and graphics toolkit, and one of the first things they do is render a 3D object to the screen. So there's some support there for doing that, and that's something we could always explore. It might be fun to do that. I actually feel like though if I were to do that, that would be a really fun opportunity to explore Odin. So I don't know if you've seen this yet. It's a language that has popped up on my radar a couple times. I think uh, I think I may have inadvertently convinced Ginger Bill to write a blog post saying that. Um, Here, let's see if I can find it. Uh, this one. That's way too small. Let me make that bigger for you. So yeah, I talked about this blog post in one of my videos. I think I maybe am the impetus that caused him, or the straw that broke the camel's back, at least, to cause Ginger Bill to write this. But Odin is something that has been on my radar for a little bit, and I have really, really been wanting to find a good opportunity to work with it. Let me also just this resolution works well for me, but maybe isn't great for streaming. Let's try this. Shouldn't have touched it. Okay, let's revert. Okay, yeah. To prohibit technical difficulties, we're just gonna have to run with this. So if this is small, please let me know, and I will try my best to make sure that things are big enough to easily see. Direct music. You did Advent of Code and Odin, and it was a joy. That's awesome. I'm really happy to hear that. I want more. I don't. I don't want to sound like I am downplaying Odin here. I'm going to call it a small language. I want more small languages like this to succeed. So I would really like, doing things in Advent of Code is great. If you haven't published your solutions, you should totally publish your solutions on like, GitHub or Git or Codeberg, whatever you choose to use these days. But having just more code examples out there that people can find is just helping. It's an opportunity to help other people get into the language, which I think is pretty cool. Um, Rock is a good choice. You said Rock M. I'm assuming you mean Rock Lang, which I totally agree. Yeah, it's a great choice to look into. I am a huge fan of Richard Feldman, and also a huge fan of just functional programming languages like this. So Rock is on my list. Actually, I kind of wanted to start a new project that Rock could be a good fit for. So maybe I'll end up doing that in Rock instead. Isn't Odin more like for Windows programming? I think you can use it for Windows programming. It has pretty good C interop, but I don't think you have to use it for Windows, or I don't think you're going to be like at a hindrance trying to use it on Linux or anything similar. As an aside, these are all so cool. I love looking at these tools and just some of the stuff that has been built with them. And this is all written in Odin. To my knowledge, they're completely written, yeah, written fully in Odin. So there's fluid simulators, fire simulators, terrain simulators, all sorts of really cool stuff that has been built by Jenga FX, and I think that's the company that Ginger Bill works for. And if you don't know who Ginger Bill is, I guess I should probably clarify that. He's the creator of Odin. Okay, so I've got a couple things that I kind of want to work on today. I figured I would just stream and hang out while I'm working on those things and, answer questions kind of like what we're doing. This is going really well. Um, so let me close a couple of these. So we've got this. Some D, some more D. This fun little challenge. Let me definitely close that. Oh, why do the colors look so different here? Okay, much better. That was weird. Okay, so sorry, I meant the setup, not actual compilation. I don't know what you mean by the setup. Do you mean like developing Odin on a Mac or a Linux machine might be difficult because of like needing Windows libraries to do the actual development? Had no issues using it on Mac OS, and I built a toolchain to cross build some Odin code to Linux and Windows. Yeah, I think that should work pretty well. Okay. Let's get back in here. I guess you don't necessarily care too much about what I've got going on in here. But I'm running Dust on my home lab, and I haven't talked about Dust in a while. That's the wrong password. Let's try that again. Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm running Dust on my home lab, and I haven't talked about Dust in a while, so maybe it would be a fun opportunity to do that. So, okay, up and running, great. Client.dustbooks.org, Brad Lab. I need to register because I've not registered after wiping the DB. Let's do actually like a really simple dummy password that I won't forget. Cool. Yeah, that makes sense that it was using a breach because that is a throwaway password. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is Dust. I've really wanted to talk about this for a while. I recorded a video like 2 weeks ago talking about it, but never edited it and published it. And I think I might just throw that away and restart. But yeah, one of the things that I'm potentially interested in working on is I have been working on a cover manager for this project, where it fetches the cover, stores it locally, um, and does everything you would expect. It works fine when I run it on my machine, but I think I'm running into some permissions issues. Not to throw you into another fixing technical issues segment, but chat isn't appearing on the screen. Oh, you're totally right. It's there now. Why would that happen? OBS window source, chat not updating unless you have focus for performance reasons. So I need to keep focus on this window if I want the chat to update. Okay, that makes sense. Just another pain. I don't know if anyone else like live streams, but I hate my live stream setup. Like it is such a pain. Recording wise, it's not so bad because I don't have to have like so many stars align, and I can always fix small stuff and edit and post, I guess, in the editing process. But there's so many little like one-off things that I have to do in a very specific way to get things to work exactly how I want them to when it comes to streaming. And it could just be me being a novice, but yeah, not my favorite thing. Okay, so I've got Dust running. This is running on my home lab. So I can. These are all books that I've purchased, mostly through Humble Bundle, but which I guess you don't care where I've purchased them from. But I always like praising Humble Bundle because it's a good cause and you can get some really great stuff. So I've got books like this, right? And they keep track of your reading progress. So, if I get in here and I get 18% complete and we get into this math warning right here, and I say, well, I don't want to worry about math right now. And I go do something else, and then I come back and we'll do a full refresh just to make sure this works like I would expect it to. You can see that it says 18% complete and it picks us right up where we left off. I know that like there's other media servers like Jellyfin that maybe do something similar. I hadn't looked too much into Jellyfin to be completely transparent, but I really wanted to build this. So I've got a client on the web, and the server's in Zig as of very, very recently. It was Dino for the longest time. And yeah, kind of figure we could work on either the cover manager. A friend of mine also has just started working on a game engine in Flutter, and I thought it might be kind of cool to look at that. So we probably will do that too. But yeah, we can kind of steer this lazy Saturday however you all want to go. And as long as it's somewhat productive in some facet for me, I'm more than happy to do whatever. Okay. Hey man, great Raylib Space Invaders tutorial. Yeah, thank you so much. I wanted to do something different instead of just here's a web server and here's how you build a web server in Zig and here's how you. It feels like all the content out there is always the same thing. Doubly so in the JavaScript space, and triply so now that AI is playing such a big role in things. So yeah, we could work on this. It might be kind of fun to work on that. We could talk with the cover manager. Um, Now make a website in Raylib. I mean, I don't know what Raylib's WASM story is, but maybe there's potential to do something like that at some point. Okay. This just a little bigger, so I've got the full screen to work with. No cover found for book path. I'm trying to remember where I left off with this. I've been off for about 2 weeks working on all sorts of random other things. And I had last worked on this about a week and a half ago. So I'm trying to remember. Find local cover. This is called here. Yeah, so if I remember correctly, we're running into issues in download cover, and I think we can validate that by giving me another tab. Zig build run. Yep, that makes sense. Yep, that's good. That's good. Yep, some arbitrary secret for local development. Let's run this again. Okay, cool. That's what I would expect to see. Hop back over to Chrome, swap servers, local host. Yep. Okay. Yeah, so this is what I want, right? And it's working fine on my local machine, but when I run it on my Ubuntu server as a separate user, a Dust user, I'm running into some issues with that. So uh, that's I think what we should probably work on. But I guess we're finding the cover if it's local. I think the issue is that we're having a hard time writing the file when we download it from our source. Not in Raylib, but you can create a website with Nick Barker's Clay library. Clay looks so nice. I have been meaning to build something with that for a while. There are some room for improvement in your code in that tutorial. Like it would have been much simpler if you used composition instead of trying to bring OOP concepts. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I guess I don't disagree with you. I think also I would just maybe challenge that a little bit by saying that if people have a background in OOP, Seeing some of those OOP concepts might make it easier to pick up on the Zig specific pieces, but I think I agree with you more than I do me in that there's room for improvement with the code and making it simpler and focusing on composition. Okay, so wherever you are, this part's working. This part's working. We have a reader. We're unlocking, inferring the extension, file name, create file. I guess one thing that's important, yeah, cover.jpg. Okay, so it's writing the file name like we would expect. Let me just delete this. And then, yeah. dustdb. Let's go ahead and remove the db as well. Give this another run. Migrations ran, which is great. db has been created, also great. Scan every minute, so it'll take a minute for it to pick up on this, but we can start there and then see where things go. They should start executing any second now. I guess I could have made the interval even shorter. And honestly, we probably should run this on first run. I'm going to go ahead and file an issue. Let's do that first. Sure, feature request. Scans should run immediately when the server first starts. I have to wait after starting the server to see my scanned books in my library. When we boot up the server, we should immediately kick off a scan and not wait for the first scan interval. Okay. Hop back over here. Tons of debug messages. Yep, ISBN inserted. Cool. Cover's been inserted like we would expect. So I guess next question would be, did I remove the database here? No, I did not. Okay. Lord. We do have debug info. Okay, so what I'm going to do is stop dust server, sudo remove opt dust data, dust.db, and then we'll start it. Should run. It's also going to take 5 minutes because we have it set to 5 minutes, but during that time we can do something else. So let's re-register on BradLab 1. Okay. Yeah, this is the issue that we just filed, in that we need to kick that off right away. Actually, to be completely honest, maybe we just look at fixing that really quick while we're here. How did I end up in add new book, process book file, scan library, scan library. There's an admin route that kicks this off. background tasks, scanning directory, scanner, scan library. Yeah, this is where we want to be. Scan library directories. So register a timer function. Okay, let's just kick this off right here too. Scan library directories. Scan CTX. Kick off initial scan when booting up the server. Nice quick little fix. It always feels nice. Oops. Git add fix 19. Kickoff scan on. I guess this is technically a feature. Yeah, whatever. It's a fix too. That's fine. Fix background task. Kick off scan on boot. Fixes 19. Oh, yep, that's fair. Rebase this. Give this another go. Man, you all were so chatty earlier. What happened? I looked up and curious if oh, I have top chat turned on, not live chat. Let's swap that. I don't know if I've missed anything, but my apologies if so. So one thing that I also kind of want to work on today, this is kind of cool. So we filed this issue, we just closed it, we pushed, and it's kicking off a job that will automate our releases here. I have done a couple different things with automating releases in the past, but I found this semantic release plugin and workflow, and it's really really nice. So I kind of want to take what I've done and set this up for like really all of my other repositories as well. So if we were to look at like github.com/Brad Seipert slash like HTTP spec, I would love to get that set up here. For example, the last publish was October 1st, 2025, but realistically, I just made a fix 5 days ago. So would love to get that also published the same way, because the way this works right now is I have to manually cut a release via tagging. And the semantic release thing just seems better. So we have a pull request? Oh yeah, this was so strange. This pull request is so weird. I've got HTTP spec, right? It's a Zig project. So they added this file make404 request.js, and it is a async JavaScript function that makes a request to HTTP bin to get a 404 and logs the requested URL and the status. And then if the response status is equal to 403, then the tests pass, which is like this says make 404, but it checks that it's a 403 and it's just console logging. It's not actually like an assertion. And it calls it right here. And it's like right in the root. I have no idea what it what is supposed to be going on here. Yeah, this one's old. I'm just gonna close this. But like for context, there's no source files in the root. It seems strange to put the source files in the root. And then like if we actually look at the source, this is like it's all Zig, like 100% Zig. There's no JavaScript in here at all. I don't know why that person wanted to add JavaScript, but that's enough. I don't mean to put anyone down for their efforts. I do appreciate any and all contributions. Just really confused by that one. Okay, 035 is out. I'm gonna come up here and we'll grab this. Hop back over here. I guess we don't really need to update, but we totally can. That's fine too. Sudo bash temp install dust. Yep, update. So this is my update process. That other project I mentioned earlier today was the this essentially, I don't want to call it a package manager because it's not necessarily a package manager, but what it is would be a tool to help manage automatically updating things like this. Some basically registering arbitrary shell scripts for, or really any script, doesn't have to be shell. Um, Kind of confused why this hasn't stopped yet, but I'll give it a second. But running those arbitrary shell scripts or whatever scripts and triggering updates when they need to be updated. So instead of me pasting a curl command, I could instead just call like my command, something like updater dust, and then let it update. Okay, why are you not stopping? Are we mid scan? Is it struggling because of being mid scan? It's got a sig term. Active failed. Okay, cool. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, cool. Should be up. Scan should be kicking off right away, which means we should be able to hop back to BradLab, and we should be able to yeah, one of these. We'll just take this one. Perfect. This is what I wanted to see. Well, ideally, I'd be able to see all of it, but unwind information was not a. It was not a what? It was not a what? What stack do you recommend for Zig for a full stack application? I don't know if I have an answer for that question. Um, what do you want to build? Like, what is a full stack application to you? Is that a web server and a um like a front end web app of some sort? Let me know, and we'll pick into that. Also, hey Pigeon, glad to see you here. Okay, why is my humor me for a second? Okay. My terminal's just too small and it doesn't want to print everything. Why is it snapping back? Okay. All right. Thanks, Katie. You're back in your home country now, so you're doing some coding again. Heck yeah. Working on cool stuff like your desktop pet, right? Well, I mean, maybe that's not what you're working on now, but hopefully it's cool stuff like that. Okay. Unwind information. Something was not available. Trace may be incoming. I gotta make this tiny. My apologies. Error unexpected. Okay, it is in download cover. Perfect. Yeah, sorry, this is absolutely tiny. That's what I wanted to see. Unexpected error 30. Yeah, I am going to throw this into Claude because I have been bashing my head against this for a bit, so I'm just gonna paste it in and see what Claude thinks. I'd like to clear this. Oh, you're not Claude. Let's fix that. Let's get something good. Hey, Claude, I am running into this error with my code base when I am running this on Ubuntu. I do not have a nice morning. It's 8 p.m. here almost now. See you next time and good luck with the errors. 8 p.m. Holy cow. So you're not in Germany, are you? Well, that's fine. Have a good night and do do whatever you do. Okay. So one true blue, like backend with a database and WebSockets and a minimalistic front end, basically for a chat app. I mean, you could potentially. Hey, I was right with Germany. Cool. 12 a.m. Jeez. Um, you all are night owls. I don't know if I can stay up that late. Okay, like a backend with a database and WebSockets. So okay, let me paste this in and let me get Claude started on this, and then we'll see if he has some answers. And if so, then that'll be helpful. And then we can talk about your question in just a second. I do not have. I do not believe I have. Well, I don't want to curry Claude. Let's just see what it. Can you give me your thoughts? Okay. Yeah, let's pull up some stuff. So you specifically asked about building a backend with a database and WebSockets and a minimalistic front end in Zig. Uh, Carl Seguin, HTTPZ, is one of my favorites. So this is a HTTP server. It does not use the standard HTTP server. Um, my understanding is that the performance of the standard HTTP server is slower than this by quite a bit. Totally makes sense. The Zig team has way more on their plate than just building an HTTP server. So yeah, totally makes sense. Not trying to throw shade at anyone. I like this server a lot. I've used this. I've used Zap. I've used ZZZ. This one's the simplest, and simple is kind of what I strive for. So I like this server a lot. I don't know if they have support for WebSockets. Oh, WebSockets, they do. They do. So yeah, you could take this approach, right? And handle it with HTTPZ. Uh, Tiger Beetle's a thing, but not sure. Yeah, Tiger Beetle's cool. It's an accounting database. So just despite it being written in Zig doesn't necessarily mean you would want to use Zig with it. If you were building a chat application and you don't need history and like it's okay for the client to maintain its own history, I probably wouldn't even use a database at all. I would probably look at either you could do some like pub sub type approach, or you could do oh my gosh, Redis would be a simple alternative. You could just cache the most recent messages, and then whenever someone connects, just hand them the cache, and then let everyone kind of stream the stuff over WebSockets, and then just like kind of snapshot it every now and again via WebSocket. So whenever someone else joins, you could give them the most recent stuff. If you do care to keep all of the stuff in memory, Carl Seguin, I will stand Carl Seguin left and right, but he has this Postgres driver written in Zig called pgzig that I've used. It's nice. It works really well. There's some examples on how you would use it like this. Dust is actually using HTTP Zig, HTTPZ, HTTP.zig. I like it a lot. I'm not using his thin wrapper for SQLite. I didn't realize this was a thing, and I probably should have looked at this because I'm using a different library, and the other library is fine too. Again, I'm a big fan of Carl. So, okay. What are your thoughts? Remount the file system as read write. Quick fix. If you have permissions, remount the directory. Why is it? Why is this read only? Works with read only media mounts. Keeps downloaded data separate from source media, most flexible for different deployment scenarios. Would you like me to implement option 2? No, I don't think so. I think I'd rather just do this. Okay, what am I running before I paste some random thing into my Linux server? That seems reasonable. Sudo mount, remount, rewrite, media dust. Okay, that sounds good. Mount point not mounted or a bad option. I'm positive that's media dust, right? Operation not permitted. Why is that operation not permitted? Okay, make this a little bigger. I'm gonna hand this to Claude too. My Linux knowledge is subpar, so I'm hoping to brush up on that and learn a little bit more as I go. But in the meantime, I'm very curious. Let me help you. Okay, you cannot run those. These commands are on a remote server that you do not have access to. Wait. Why is this a better architectural approach? I don't think I want you to do this. I don't think I want you to do that. This Carl guy seems to be the answer you're looking for. Yeah, Carl's done a lot for Zig. Um, highly recommend checking out his projects. They're all really sound too. Also, he blogs on openmymind.net and has some really great stuff here. So this one's particularly good. I point this one out because I don't think Carl's too dumb for Zig's new I/O interface, but I think it does highlight that the new I/O interface is confusing. What is a writer? There's a really good one in here that was the first thing I found from Carl, and I'm trying to remember what it was. It might have been Zig's interfaces. Yeah, I think this was it. This is pretty old at this point, but it's still pretty valid and a pretty good post. I'm also realizing that this is tiny. My apologies. But yeah, I would check out Carl's stuff. He has a lot of really good information on his website, openmymind.net. And then he also has several really great open source projects that you could use in the Zig ecosystem. Okay, what am I doing wrong? Read only file systems. That's helpful. That's all I wanted to know. Your server scanning books, add new book. It's trying to get the cover. Yep. The insert cover function doesn't find a local cover image. Okay, it finds metadata with a cover. Download URL, probably from Open Library. Yep, that's correct. Download cover, saves it. Yep, that makes sense. It's mounted as read only. How do I check that? File system mounted with a read only flag. Disk error causing automatic read only remount. Permission issues at the mount level. Check them out. Run cap. Yeah, you got it. That seems promising. Let's give it a go. Literally nothing. Oh, let me type that correctly. I don't see it. DFH. Okay, that makes sense. Def mapper. Why is that 98 gigs? That should be much bigger. Check if the parent file system is read-only. Yep, sounds good. That's read-write, right? I'm not missing something? On slash type ext4 read-write real-time, yeah. Sure. Show me these. Oops. Yep. Dust owns it. Oh, shoot. The system D service. I bet that's it. Losing my mind. I rewrote your Space Invaders clone to show how I would write it, but after reading it for a bit, I don't know if I want to share it. Why not? If you have a good composition path, I think you should share it. I'd love to read through it. We could read through it together now if you want. Oh my god, these logs just keep going. Okay, that's not going to give me the information I want, but we might have that information here already in Dust. So shoot, maybe not. Okay, sudo systemctl status Dust server. Yep. Main PID, C groups. Okay. Edit. No. Oh shoot. This is Nano. I actually oh, where is Vim? How do I exit Nano? Is that Control X? Okay, that is Control X. Whew, okay. Still Nano? What am I doing wrong? That's fine. Oh, yep, that is listed as a read-only path. I'll share it, but it's kind of a mess. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'm not saying that you have productionized it and you're ready to ship it and start running the world's infrastructure on it by any means. It's just a project that we've thrown together. Vaping is 10x worse than cigarettes. They're both bad. Don't do either. I don't know about the specifics of whose is worse than or which is worse than the other, but yeah, don't do either. Take a deep breath. Oxygen. Like that. Okay. This is our issue, right? This is a read-only paths, and then we have a read-write paths. Are these comma separated? Is that how it's supposed to be? I actually don't know. Let's find out. Show me systemd read Right paths. Exactly. Yeah, I'm glad you agree. No, they're space separated. Interesting. So we should just be able to set this to media dust. Oh, what have I done? Hi. Okay, let's just, no, not save. Try this again, and I'm going to try really hard not to hit Vim key bindings. And we'll just do this in Nano. This was media dust. And then we should be able to just remove all of this, right? I don't know if there's a delete line, but that's fine. Okay. Writing a file is Command O. Oh my God, why is this so... Cancel? Oh my God. Man, Vim is so much simpler. Do I not have Vim? No, I do have Vim. Why is it? Okay. System CTL editor. Yeah, edit with Vim, please. System D editor. Really? Just use editor. It's system. Yeah, okay. System D. How rude. That's still Nano. System D editor Vim. Oh. Okay. Oh, it's Biggie. My bad. Yay. Okay, Vim. Thank goodness. Never thought I would be so excited to see Vim again. Wow, that was so much easier. Sudo systemctl stop dust server. Sudo remove opt dust data dust.db. Come back over here, start dust server. Let's let this run. If I refresh, it's going to kick me out because my account is no longer valid and my token's expired. Let's create a new user. Running. Um, run this. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed so many questions. You didn't uncomment. Oh, did I forget? Jeez. Um, okay, I'll check that in just a second. Uh, do you know if there's a way to get an error back from systemctl start service name immediately? I don't know that actually. I don't think there is because it's asynchronous, right? So we're essentially we're giving it a task to start the service, but if the service has an error, like the starting the task can succeed even if the service then tends to error. Um, hey, this is coolest name possible. It looks like the account got shadow banned. That's not cool. Let me see if I can fix that. 1 second. Hello, empathy monster. I'm happy so many people are coming out to hang out. Okay. Let me check my moderator tools really quick. I say that like I actually know how to do that. Yeah, I know you can have it restart automatically. I don't want to hide anyone. I just want to see. Oh, moderation activity. Probably shouldn't show that. I don't see anything about you being banned. Also, don't know if that's even how you check. So, that's fine. Don't worry. Yeah, I mean, I won't worry about it right now, but I'm a little worried about it. I don't really want YouTube to end up doing that to people. Yeah, you can restart a system deservice automatically if it fails. Yeah, there's a restart policy that you can set up if you want to automatically restart it, which is probably something I should do at some point. More confused why this isn't succeeding. It is succeeding. Okay. Oh, wait. Comments. We never uncommented it. Totally forgot. Yeah, that is really nice, but it fails sometimes. Just try 5 times and never launch. OpenRC on Alpine does show an error if it fails. I was just wondering. Interesting. I did not know that. Where were we? This one. Okay, editing. Anything between here and the comment below will become the contents of the drop-in file. Edits below this comment will be discarded. So, all right, sorry, random system B question. I thought I knew this better than I did. Do I just need to update this read-only paths piece up here? So come up here and then read only paths is equal. Sorry, it actually wouldn't be read only paths. It would be read anything between here and the comments will become the contents of the drop-in file. Edits below this comment will be discarded. Why is this so confusing? System D edit service file. Systemctl edit. Yep. Safely creates a local override file without modifying the original package provided file. I am the author of the package provided file. I don't edit the full file. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's fine. I'm debugging. I do not mind. And that was, what was this? Dash just full after edit. Okay. Perfect. This is what I wanted to see. Run it seems like a good init system. Honestly, I don't know much about all of the new, the newfangled hotness. I sound like an old fogey, but yeah, my exposure to Linux has been pretty minimal before getting my framework laptop. And then on top of that, like I know that there's like Void and there's Nix and all sorts of other fun stuff. Um, my plan was to try all of those, and then I tried Omarchy, and then just realized that I kind of really like Arch. I probably should still try those at some point. Stop dust server. Dust data dustdb. All right, moment of truth. Let this run for a second. I'm also going to take a drink of my beverage. And to be honest, also put my glasses on after I clean them. Init system and Zig tutorial win. I think I probably know Zig well enough to build one. I don't know init systems well enough to build one. So I'm not really sure. Like my exposure to like systemd and similar is pretty minimal. I've not had to get really into the weeds with them, so I don't also really know what all they do outside of what you've seen me do here today. So I don't know if I will be doing that anytime soon, but I do love the idea of building more low-level tools in Zig and then making those available for people to use. Okay, this should have started. Let's hop back over to Chrome. Let's hop back over here, refresh, get kicked out. Good, good, good. I already have just thought of a bug that we have that we probably should fix because I just delayed our server boot process by a ton, which is why this is failing. I'm positive that the server is not handling requests. Yeah, connection failed. Okay, cool. That is an issue that we'll have to fix. Systemd is about 1.5 million lines of code. Yeah, but that's C, right? You could do that in like 10 lines of Zig. That was a joke. Yeah, I'm sure Systemd would be a ton to rebuild. Also, it kind of reminds me of all the people that are like, I'm gonna rewrite FFmpeg in Rust, and I'm like, oh man, do you know how big FFmpeg is and how much assembly is in FFmpeg and OS specific processing and codec specific processing? And it's just like, I can't imagine. There's a joke that says Linux runs on Systemd. I could see it, yeah. Okay, yeah, this is definitely an issue. So we added this. This is blocking. I would rather not block this and just like kick this off in a background task, especially. So I've got 122 books, I think, that we're trying to process. So it's holding the server start by quite a bit. So it's something else we'll probably want to look at some point. I'm just going to go ahead and put a to do in here. Scanning immediately prohibits server from booting in timely fashion. Oh, that Linux runs on Systemd OS. Ah, I see. Okay, register succeeded. Yes, we have images. Okay, perfect. Oh, it's coming together. I'm so happy. Some of these look bad, but like okay. What's going on here? Covers 81. This is Mastering Closure Data Analysis by Eric Rochester. Show me Eric Rochester. So, okay. Media, dust, books. What is test file? Books, author, Eric Rochester, closure data analysis. What do we have? Cover.jpg, it's there. Why did that not load? If I open you in a new tab, do you load? You do load. Interesting. I don't know why that's not loading. Cores error. Why did some of these pass and others not? What? How does that work? Strict origin when cross origin. Okay, I get that I've got cores issues, and I get that I've got HTTPS issues, but I don't understand why some of these covers loaded and then others didn't. You're tired of programming. You're thinking of getting into farming. Not a joke. I um I wish these would load. I get that. I feel you. Um, quite a bit actually. I'm curious to learn more about why you're tired of programming. This past year has been a little rough for me personally, um, with programming, mostly due to the um, mostly due to AI in a couple different ways. I feel like it's really sucked a lot of the joy out of programming, but for most of the things that I do, it's so fast. Dust has been a fun exception, which, I mean, you saw me using Claude over here earlier to help diagnose some Linux issue that I was running into. It's great at that, but it's not very heavily trained on Zig. I've also been doing some D lately. It's also not been heavily trained on D, but I feel like when you have a tool that's doing most of the writing for you and you think through the problems, like I don't know, maybe it's more normal for people to enjoy the problem solving of coding, but I find that I really like the problem solving and the writing. I like the whole shebang. And I feel like AI has really changed the pressures on me because typing is a bottleneck for me. It's a bottleneck for almost everyone, I would imagine. Um, and AI is just so fast at typing. So I feel those pressures, and I use AI tools at work all the time because again they make me move faster and they help me through these things. But I think also it's like it sucks some of the joy out of programming, and that's really hard. Um, so much in fact that part of what I've been planning on doing is taking more time from that I have to spend on things like this that I'm doing today, and just making sure that I'm spending them in a way that makes me happy. And I have this idea for a business. It's called Sprutia. I've been working on it for a while. Um, we have SEO too, which is cool. Um, it's this, and it's totally not ready to use yet. So if you try to sign in, you're not going to be able to, or anything like that. But this is like placeholder text. No one's using this yet. But I've been working on this for a while, and I guess I could sign in and show you what it looks like if I remembered any of my test data, which I don't off the top of my head, but I think we have it in 1Password. You know, it's probably not a good idea for me to live stream me signing into 1Password, so we're not going to do that. But I've been working on that for a while, and I want to make it into a business and do business things, but that doesn't make me happy. It's not fulfilling, and I feel like when I do those things, I'm like, give as much to Claude as possible, give as much to Copilot as possible, and part of it's because I work a full time job, and then I do this, and then I have a wife and two dogs and a very large, close, extended family, like within several streets of each other. Um, so I spend a lot of time with my family, my friends, working on YouTube stuff for you all and for myself too. It's selfishly, I love doing it. So um, I guess I'm just trying to figure out how to make sure that I'm doing stuff that makes me happy. And I feel like that Sprutia project, while I think it's a fantastic idea, I don't feel like it's making me very happy because I am feeling a ton of pressure to just go, go, go with the limited amount of time I have to allocate to it. I've just been ranting for a few minutes. Someone said they thought about being a garbage man. They get paid pretty well. You're not familiar with this project of mine, Dust. What's the gist of it? Yeah, let's talk about Dust. So I would love to. So I am running this on my home lab. Dust server is your collection, digital collection of ebooks and digital comics. So it's a media server focused around ebooks and comics. Think Plex, but for people who like to read, and more importantly, collect digital books and comics. I'm both of these. So there's a quick start on Ubuntu because I've been building this to help me quickly get something up and running with updates. But the idea here is that it's essentially a web-based server written in Zig. There's a ton of JavaScript in here. This is the client, so this client folder will eventually get pulled out into a separate repository. Part of the reason it's here right now is it just allows me to iterate a little more quickly. But the idea here is that you can build your own Dust client. I want you to build your own Dust client. You can use the public one that I have available at client.dustbooks.org. Again, that's client.dustbooks.org. This one. You can totally use this. This is this client that's right here. But I don't want you to have to depend on that. So if you want to build your own mobile client with Flutter, where you do different things and cache things differently, or I don't know, whatever you would choose to do, you can do that and should do that. Like I want to encourage people to build on top of the thing that I've built. That's really easy for me to do because you also have to host the thing that I've built. So you're hosting your own Dust server or connecting to someone's, just like Plex, just like Jellyfin, anything like that. And it's just a digital book reader. So if you just joined me, one of the things that I'm most excited about is, well, I just got covers working, kind of. So I'm pretty excited about that. But we take PDFs and EPUBs and we work with them. I got to fix that. Definitely have to fix this. But the idea here is you start reading these books, right? And you'll notice that the reading progress updates on the left. So we're 24% complete. Wow, I've read so much today. I want to go home and go to bed. And then I wake up tomorrow and I come back to Dust. Did I just crash the server? I might have just crashed the server. Why did it kick me out? Interesting. Okay, I don't know why it kicked me out. That's maybe another bug that I need to look at. But the idea here is that I come back. Oh, yeah, we gotta take a look. I might be breaking things. I didn't restart it, did I? Did it crash? An auto restart? These timestamps are not helpful at all. Okay. Well, regardless, the idea here is that it's 24% complete. So now I come back and I'm 24% complete. And that sounds so weird and so simple, but I don't have a way to do this with another reader on with one exception. And I don't think you can do this anymore, but the Kindle mobile app would allow you to, or the Kindle app would allow you to email PDFs to like a specific Kindle email address, and then they would show up in your Kindle account. Um, but there's not an option for this in like a web based client. So I was using Google Drive to store my books for the longest time, which is cool if you want to share them or do anything like that. But they don't keep your reading progress. So you can't like quickly get back to where you left off, which is really a pain because either you have to keep a note or you have to memorize the fact that, oh, I left off on page 28, I think is what this says. Sorry, my window's so tiny. Let's make this a little bigger. Yeah, so you're like, oh, I left off on page 20, and you have to memorize that. And I read multiple books at a time. So I'll read like a fiction book and a technical book and a something else. I was looking for one to reach for at the moment, but there's a quantum computing book over there, a database book over there. I've got a philosophy book right there. I've got one business book right in front of me, right here. Um, but the point is that like I read a bunch of books at the same time. So for me to memorize every single page that I'm at or keep a note is just a pain. And then also you have to, when you open Google Drive back up and open your book, you have to go to that page. You have to scroll to it. You have to find it. And I just want a better experience for reading books. So yeah, that's the impetus for Dust. I'm working on it. There's some stuff that's broken. I think we just saw the server crash maybe again. So I got to figure out how I broke things. But yeah. Okay. Ranting, missing a lot of comments. Living is exhausting for me. Yeah. Some days it is for me too, man. I'm sorry, I shouldn't assume. Some days it is for me too. I don't have any tips, but a really long time ago, I was in a pretty dark place, and ever since then, I remind myself every morning that I am lucky and happy to be alive. And it's easier said than done, but I don't know. Hopefully that helps. I wrote some C code in the passenger seat of a car for 4 hours last week, and not being able to reach for AI made it so much more fun. Yeah, I totally believe it. I had so part of where I started with Dust was, or sorry, I should say, part of me migrating the original implementation that I had written in Dino to Zig was me on a plane on an international flight. And I did not pay for Wi Fi, which in hindsight, I probably will never do that again. 8 hours without Wi Fi is a very, very long time. But I ended up just line by line going in and being like, okay, this is what I'm doing in Dino. This is what this looks like in Zig. And just no AI, nothing like that. And it is fun. There's not much joy in it. I started with QBasic as a kid, many languages, jobs, stacks later. I think I don't like computers anymore. Probably an ager thing. Anyway, sorry for the buzzkill. Yeah, not a buzzkill at all, man. Again, sorry, not to assume. Not a buzzkill at all. I think that like there is this like bell curve essentially of your level of expertise with something and the amount of joy that you get from it. And I think that, you're somewhere on that bell curve and you probably have a lot of experience because you've been doing this for a long time and you probably have seen all the, the warts and unfun stuff about computers. And um, at some point, like thinking through problems and how to solve them, you have to make some concessions. And if you don't make those concessions, you will like drive yourself crazy thinking about how a computer actually processes the things that you are trying to deal with. Nifty. Yeah, thank you, Empathy Monster. I appreciate that. Zig is not ready for prod. Oh yeah, I love I love when these come up. It's impossible to compile dependencies. Nobody knows what version to use. So your words matter. You said it's not ready for prod. I do think we have some cases of applications that are built with Zig that are working fine in production. We have Tiger Beetle. We have Bun. Ghosty, the terminal I'm using, is written in Zig. So there's some examples. I'm working on Dust. These issues that you're seeing with Dust aren't Zig issues. These are me being a bad programmer issues. So I don't think anything Zig specific is blocking me from being successful with this. The second part of what you said, it's impossible to compile dependencies. I have dependencies in this project and they're compiling. I can even show you. So if we come back to our terminal and we hop over to this tab right here, we can cat our build.zig.zon. You can see I've got dependencies on HTTPZ and SQLite, and you can also see that I can use zig build run, and I have compiled my dependencies. There you go. So I can compile them. I know what you mean, though. It can be difficult to try to make sure that you have all your versions matching because the short and sweet is that Zig is making updates pretty frequently and it's unstable, right? Like it's not a version 1.0. They've intentionally tried to keep it not version 1.0 until they feel confident in the implementation of the language so that there is a somewhat implicit, somewhat explicit promise that they can break things and you're not building something that might not be broken at some point. And that's Zig. Like that's the trade-off you make, right? At some point it'll be 1.0 probably, and that might be a time for you to be a little happier about building things in Zig. But there's also some people who are really excited about it now, like myself, and we end up just struggling through that. Like, don't get me wrong, it sucks. I having a project that works on. So I started in 013. When I went from 013 to 014, every single one of my projects broke. When I went from 014 to 015, I think every single one of my projects broke. If not every single one, there may have been one that didn't. And I'm on 015. When I went from 015.1 to 015.2, I had a project break. Wild. To add to that, though, I know 016 is going to be pretty large, and I'm expecting all of my projects to break again, too. Okay. You have a client in Dart and Flutter too? Not yet. So I don't have a client in Dart and Flutter. I actually thought about the original client being in Dart and Flutter and doing Flutter Web. Flutter Web is like it is my biggest disappointment in Flutter. It's nice that there's something, and if depending on what you've built, it might work fine. But as of now, I just have a straight up web client. If you want to build a Flutter client, you totally could, and maybe one day I will. Necessity is the mother of all inventions. Yeah, that is true. A polymath. What is polymath? I know what a polyglot is. Polymath. That sounds like a prog rock band. A polymath is a person with deep knowledge and expertise in multiple diverse fields. Oh, often called a Renaissance person. I like that. Were you referring to me as a polymath? Don't understand Dart. It's not an ML inspired language. That is true. It's not. Every language must be OCaml like. Okay. I like OCaml a lot. I think there's a lot of value in things not looking like OCaml. That diversity of thought gives us things to grow on and become better. I really wish I knew why this was broken. Okay, let me. Sorry, there's one more comment. Okay. Hey, Cyprid, I recently started following your content about Zig. Hey, Thijus Regendron? I have no idea how to pronounce your name, but I'm very glad you're here. And I'm also glad that you're excited to learn about Zig. Yes, because of all the different books you're reading. Oh yeah, I mean you can read about anything. It's crazy what knowledge people will share via little pieces of trees. I don't want to get push. I want to hop back over here and I want to quit that, check this again, head all the way back down to the bottom. Library scan completed. Okay. Okay. Quick test. Did I crash everything? No, I didn't crash everything. Excuse me. Okay, I don't know why some of these covers are failing. Oh. No, I do know why that one's failing. The client is not pulling in the right information. Actually, I think Claude would take care of this really quick, but maybe it would be a better opportunity to talk through the client. So in the client, we have some components, we have some pages, we have a library page, reader page. There we go. And we're using Lit. So Lit is a web components framework. It's really lightweight. It's nice. If you, oh god, there's so much CSS on this page. Load book from route. You know what? We want specifically. Oh man, that's tiny. What's this say? Book cover large. Book cover large. If someone wants OCaml on web, you should look into Rescript. Formerly, I didn't realize they renamed ReasonML. Yo, 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 Emil Nordgaard 5228. How's it going? Okay, so we have our API, we've got our books. What am I looking for? We have a, there's like a helper somewhere, somehow. The library page is using it. Render book card. Get book cover URL. Server manager. Yes. Okay, perfect. This is honestly probably something that should just be better handled by the server. I'm gonna just throw a to-do in here. This should be handled by the server and not something the client is responsible for. What are we really doing today? Currently we're doing some Zig stuff and we're just hanging out, having a good time. So that hopefully that part doesn't change, but the Zig stuff may change. I have a friend who's been working on a Flutter game engine. I kind of want to take a look at that. So yeah, you can run Rescript with Preact. That's cool. Did not know that. Too much details. About about what? Okay, so we've got this Git book cover. So we should just be able to hop over to our reader. And then this should just be, whoa, Git book cover, something like this. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh, it's Git book cover URL. Okay. Please. Yep, that should take care of it. String undefined is not assignable. Oh, it's just the book. Okay, cool. Perfect. Even easier. Okay, that should fix that. Let's get that pushed up and let that build out, and then we'll give it a shot, and then maybe we'll pivot gears and take a look at some of the Flutter stuff that I mentioned. What does Zig have to do with TypeScript? Yeah, sorry. I guess you just joined us. So there's a TypeScript client, a lit web component client to the Zig server. So we've been working on the server most of the time that we've been live, but we ended up changing a little bit of the client to fix something. Okay, so what have we changed? Client, to-dos. That's it, client and to-dos. Okay, cool. We don't need to release a new version of the server for that. Yep, that's fair. Okay, cool. So, oh wow, so many comments. You can run Rescript. Too much details. What does Zig have to do with TypeScript? Literally takes 5 minutes. A Flutter game engine sounds so depressive. I feel like we have so many people who are sad in the chat today. Yeah, I don't know if a Flutter game engine sounds depressive. So Flame is a Flutter game engine. That's not the one that he's working on, but Flame is pretty nice. Using Rescript with JS libs is problematic. Just use TS. That is indeed correct. In fact, Rescript has trouble with bindings to built-in browser APIs even. Oh, that's a bummer. But I think it's the closest and most fleshed out thing to ML on the client. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, there are other JS generators with worse integration too. Okay. Shoot, what were we gonna do? Something Zig related before we left. Oh no, I remember what it was. I want to look at our install script. I've not heard great stuff about Flutter, though people are like that about a lot of things. That is definitely true. I like Flutter quite a bit. I worked professionally as a Flutter dev for a couple years. I've built several Flutter apps in my own time. I like it quite a bit, but I also understand that I am a bit of an outlier in most things that I enjoy. SSL secret, scan interval, env file, media directories, database file, scan interval. Yep. I'm sorry, media dust, right? How did I end up with that being? Yes, that's how. Okay, so I shouldn't have any read-only paths. Where is this defined? So we have our install directory. Okay, this is not going to be read-only paths. This is going to be dust media path. Oh, and that's not a comma, it's just a space. My apologies. And then we can remove this. This doesn't need to be that way, so this will be dust media path. And it'll just be, yep. Sounds good. Okay, let me push that up to chore. Installer update install script to not use read only dirs. Those were fine for a bit, but now they are no longer fine since we are actually writing back to the file system. You got interested in Flutter from Fuchsia, but never got into it. Yeah, I actually feel like that was a lot of people at the time. I feel like Flutter had so much momentum despite a lot of people not using it, just based off the news of Fuchsia. People are partisan about the most trivial things like programming languages and tabs versus spaces. Oh, people get into that. I tried Kotlin to JS, but it was not nice years ago. Maybe today it's better. Yeah, I mean, oh, lost a headphone. Anything to JS is like it's not going to be as good as writing. Hey, package main. Thanks for joining. Yeah, it's technically not morning here either. It's about 3 o'clock. Yeah, glad you're here though. I think at some point one must bite the bullet and just program in raw.js, use domain-specific language the domain was meant for. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think the caveat would be that I'm a sucker for static typing, and I would throw TypeScript on top of JS every single time. But any other compile to JS language, like I don't really see the benefit. Maybe the key exception would be I don't know if I would actually write this, but Nim has a compile to JS type thing that you can do. It might not be bad. I've also used ClojureScript before. It's all right. Elm's fine. There's a lot of options that you can explore, but yeah, I do think that like anytime that you do a compile to JS type thing, you're probably hindering your interoperability with the massive ecosystem of JavaScript libraries, which is why things like effect TS look so silly to me. I like effect a lot from in theory, but in practice, it means that I would want everything to follow the effect style. So any library I pull in, any dependency, I would have to end up building an adapter for, and that does not sound like fun. So this is effect. This was mentioned. This is so nice. So they've got an example of how you might write things without effect, and then how you would handle it with effect. Yeah, retries. So you can see doing the retry with effect. Interruption, so aborting the request after 1 second and clean up those resources. Doing this without an abort signal, like trying to do this before abort signals were really mainstream, was a nightmare. I get that they are showing you like the right modern way to do it, but I also think it would be great to see the old way of doing this before abort signals were a thing, and then comparing it side by side. And then observability, so you can see what that looks like as well. Flow is cool for JS, but Flow is dead. Same thing with Rescript. I wouldn't know. I just got into web dev stuff. Yeah, I think Flow types, right? Static type checker for JavaScript. I feel like TypeScript kind of came in and wiped the floor with Flow. Not saying you shouldn't use Flow, but I do. What I remember is the people that I were pretty close with who had used Flow, at some point in time, they had migrated from Flow to TypeScript. But I love red lines like this. Always a good sign. My main issue with effect TS is that I just don't like the philosophy. I love errors values, but I don't think I need the monady stuff. Yeah, I mean, I joke with one of my friends about this all the problem, but monads, mo problems. Yeah, I don't know. I like monads, but I there is cognitive overhead when it comes to programming with monads, and if not everyone on the team or the project are on the same page about that cognitive overhead, I think monads can be a little bit more problematic than helpful. Hello, Broad River 4856. Glad you're here. They're kind of twins in that respect. Rescript's entirely focused on front end, and Effect is focused on back end. Yeah, I guess that's fair. TypeScript doesn't need to rebuild if you use Bun or Node now, too, I think. Oh, don't forget about Dino. Dino, the best TypeScript runtime. And this is coming from a Zig fan who knows that Bun is written in Zig. But yeah, Dino's great. Don't forget about it. But I use some one-person made lang with bugs. Me too. I've been trying out a bunch of one-person made langs and recently, and it's been fun. And also some not one-person made langs. I really like D. I was shocked. I did not expect to like D, but after programming in D, I really like it. It is a massive language. Like I did not realize how big the language was, how big the standard library was. It is basically like they tried to program every single thing that could exist into one language, um, which is it's overwhelming. But at the same time, also you can do some really neat stuff in it. Haven't used a TypeScript compiler for actual compiling in years. I only use it for CI/CD for final type checking. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that approach, but I see how that could be valuable. Okay, we've got Dust updated. Let's take a look at my friend's Flutter Fledge, I think is what he called it. Not what I was looking for. Not what I was looking for. I don't really want to pull up social media on stream, so give me 1 second, and this will give me an opportunity to change my music as well. And let's see what link he sent me because I've forgotten the name of it already. Fledgeframework.dev. Okay. Okay, Bevy-inspired ECS game framework. That's a very loaded sentence for Flutter. So get started, API reference. Okay, so it's got an entity component system. None of this text is selectable. Why is this text not selectable? Oh, it's written in Flutter. That's why it's okay. He's not using selective text. He's using just Flutter. Okay, this is Flutter Web. That's cool. It doesn't look as bad as I remember, but none of the text being selectable is driving me crazy. And for what it's worth, that's not a Flutter. Flutter out of the box doesn't make text selectable. You have to wrap text in a widget to make it selectable, but like it's not a limitation of Flutter. It's just a design decision of Flutter. Okay. I love D, but it's too much cognitive load for me. Yeah, I totally could see that. And it probably, realistically, is probably too much cognitive load for me as well. I had fun building something in it, and hopefully I'll publish that video soon. Had some issues with like the YouTube auto moderation when I uploaded it, so it's not been published yet, but soon, hopefully. Odin's the language I've been enjoying for a while now, and it very rarely uses monads because they don't find it beneficial a lot of the time because it does other stuff. That's good. Odin looks neat. The interop with C looks really tight. I like the Odin procedures. I've grown to understand the context system. I have to imagine if I programmed with it, I would like the context system. I mean, Gluon. Now I'm thinking to try Zig-based scripting language. Have any plans to make tutorials about server-sided streaming and Golang with gRPC? Oh, that is a throwback. No, I don't have any plans to do that. If that's something you would like, I could potentially add it to my list. That's stuff I've done before. I need to brush up a little bit. I haven't done server-side streaming with gRPC in a while, so I want to make sure I'm giving people relevant information, but I could probably put together a tutorial for that. Odin is not a monadic type system, but a polyadic type system. Okay. I don't love ECS because there's a thing called fat structs. Have you tried Raku Perl 6? I've not tried Raku. I've never even heard of Raku, but I am familiar with Perl. Love it. This is such a cute mascot. I judge all of my languages by their cute mascots. Okay. Uh, Raku is a member of the Perl family, formerly named Perl 6, introduces elements of many modern historical languages. Compatibility with Perl was not the goal. It's a very complex lang. Okay. Larry Wall. Camellia. Nod to the camel mascot. Love it. Do we have an actual what? Yeah, right here. Okay. Let me see some actual code. Class circle has radius, method area. Oh, nice. Nice pi symbol. Strictly typed, untyped, works fine. This is neat. I might actually take a look at this sometime soon. I'm glad you. I'm really glad you suggested this. This actually seems like something I would enjoy exploring. I don't know if I would enjoy writing it, but definitely enjoy exploring. So thank you. Um, you put all of your entity types in one entity struct. Yep. Will we be building anything in VLang? Probably not today, but maybe sometime soon. I'll be honest with you. I've been contributing back to VLang like crazy, and it's been very very fun. But at the same time, I have been it's also been a little exhausting, and I think it's shown me that the language is, I don't want to say buggy because I feel like that gives discredit to where it's at. But I feel like there's still a long way to go for the language to be in a spot where like I really want to dig deep into it. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. Veb's cool. The ORM's cool. There's some pretty cool stuff. But yeah, probably no V today. Actually, it's already 3 o'clock. I might wrap up sometime soon too. I'm not sure yet though. Yeah, we were looking at Fledge. You guys got me distracted. Problem with game devs is I'm not very good at art. You and me both, buddy. Does Perl still do prefixing variable stuff? I've been thinking about Hilo. I don't know what Hilo is either. Coming to me with all these deep cut languages. To me, I don't think DLang solves any specific problems I have. I don't need garbage collection, nor do I need OOP. I like the straight procedural stuff. Yeah, I think one of the selling points for DLang is that it's a language that, in a perfect world, can do everything. So you have a garbage collector if you want to throw together something quick. If you really want to get down and dirty, you can opt into manual memory management, which I don't know what the state of that is, to be honest. I'm not sure if that's something you can do currently or if that's a work in progress. But I think like the idea is you learn one giant toolkit and then you can kind of adapt it into a smaller toolkit for whatever specifically you are looking for. Graydon said Hilo's the language he originally envisioned Rust to be. And someone said messy. I don't know what messy is. This looks fun, but not what I was looking for. Oh, look at all the snow. It's a systems programming language, all in on value semantics and generic programming. This looks fine. Yeah, I'd need to read through the docs on this. It's a little confusing. It looks like we have a let binding, but I don't see what we're binding it to. So, and I don't know what in out does. This is interesting. Who does own the contents of a doubly linked list? That's a great question. High level systems programming, fast by definition, compiled ahead of time to machine code, relies on type system, mutation, support in place mutations. Oh, what is Veil? People keep giving me new programming languages to look at. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is neat. I like the idea of it. The syntax is very unique. Keywords like subscript here, longer of. Where's this used? Oh, right here. I okay. What is this doing? Subscript longer of. No idea what subscript is doing in this case. We have an in out. No idea what that is. I do know what a string is, thankfully. Is this a lifetime? What is this indicator before the binding name? So we take in A and B, they're in out strings, it returns a string. If B count is greater than A count, we yield a pointer to B, else we yield a pointer to A. And then emphasize. Okay. This is like a really convoluted way to do a hello world program. Yeah, so many niche languages. I totally agree. The problem is that memory management with arena allocators make it incredibly easy while being the fastest way to do it. Crystal's compiled Ruby. Yeah, I don't. Crystal, I'm happy to see more languages, and I'm happy to see people iterating in the space. I don't much care for Ruby. And in fact, if I didn't have that gripe about Ruby, I would probably just write Elixir. I really like the Beam. I like the platform quite a bit, but cannot stand Ruby. What is the new language you'd look into the most? Zig. Highly recommend Zig. I don't know what you consider to be new, but I think Zig's gonna fundamentally change the way that we write programs. Um, I don't know if Zig will be the thing that lives the longest to do that, but I think when Zig hits its zeitgeist of popularity, I think it will change the way people write code for the better. Whether they're writing Zig, whether they're writing Go, whether they're writing C, whatever it is. So I think there's a lot of value to be gained from that. This is probably for linear types to manage lifetimes. I think you're probably right. Show us some G turtles. Sure. So Java G turtles. I haven't. It's been such a long time since I've looked at this. Thank you for the blast from the past, Landon. Um, I don't even know how to get started with this anymore. For people who don't know, the G turtle was it's a Java type thing that is a turtle that goes across the screen, and you can pin up or pin down, and it will draw based on the turtle's movements. So you could draw stuff like this. Um, yeah, what a throwback. Being a programming language, Goblin has its faults. Yeah, I will be a goblin if that is the best way to describe my interests. But Veil's a fast, safe, and easy programming language. Bold claim. AOT compiled to LLVM, statically typed, uses new generational references technique for memory safety. Tell me more. It is the safest native language. Skeptical. Strong claim. Memory safe single ownership without garbage collection or a borrow checker, which makes it easy. Okay, so how does it do that? I have to imagine that is generational references. Alternative to reference counting, tracing garbage collection, or borrow checking. Every reference remembers the ID generation of the object it's pointing at. If the user dereferences an object and fail isn't certain it's still alive, it will insert a runtime check to that references generation. Okay, so essentially, so with Rust, you're dropping at the end of a scope in Rust. So you have like the drop trait that you can implement to determine how something drops when it goes out of scope. So this is the opposite, where it is checking that something is still in scope when you do access it. This article explains what a generation is, how generational references work, how linear style. Okay. Here's an explanation of the most basic kind of generational references. We'll add the more complex bits further below, and this should be a useful stepping stone. And C, whenever we allocate a struct on the heap, malloc remembers that location is in use. Until we free it, no one can allocate something there. Okay? You can imagine that it internally has a bunch of allocator structs like this. Sure. Okay. Gmalloc, and use generational references instead of raw pointers. Numbers with colors, that's always a good sign. Skipping checks with single ownership. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. This is neat. Just glossing through it. Sorry, I don't want to spend too much time digging into this at the moment, but this is neat and happy to find another language for me to dig into. Um, Catching up on comments really quick. I think Ruby's great, but Raku may. Oh, no, not another language. Oh wait, Raku, the Pearl one. Yes. No, we're good. We're good. Um, I've been giving Zig a try thanks to your videos. Hey, that's great. I'm really happy to hear that. I think it's a really fantastic language and it's taught me a lot about programming and how computers work, and I hope it does the same for you. Evan, the creator of Veil, is a compiler engineer working for Chris Latner. I know who Chris Latner is, but maybe other people don't, so maybe it would be good if you told us, or I guess I could say it, because now I know. American software engineer and creator of LLVM, the C-Lang compiler, and Swift. Wow, I'm shocked I didn't know who Chris Latner was, to be honest with you. I think Zig is good when architecture is simple. Otherwise, use Rust. One thing I don't understand about Zig is that the code is sometimes slightly verbose compared to C. Yeah, I think it is intended to be more explicit, and sometimes that explicitness comes with verbosity. Vale's super interesting. Creators a blog where he writes about memory safety. Technically, one of the new approaches is groups, which seems very promising. Like Rust, but much better. Malloc sucks. Fair. Crazy take. I don't get how that would make sense. My problem with Zig is that it only shows one error at a time, and this is by design. Makes iterating over code more annoying than it should be. But by error at a time, do you mean compiler error at a time, or do you mean like I have returned an error, and that is I guess I'm curious more as to what you mean by that. Chris Latner's doing Mojo now. Yet another programming language to look at. I've heard of Mojo at least. Also, Chris Latner needs to chill. I'm gonna just go ahead and tell you this right here. Makes me not interested. Um, However, this makes me a little more interested. This would be cool. I don't like this, but if this becomes successful, I think this combination together would be good for programming society. Python interop. Fair. Metaprogramming. Interesting. Yeah, why Mojo? You tell me. Vendor lock-in's expensive. Yep. 2-language tax. Prototype in Python. Rewrite in C++ for production. Yep. Python hits a wall. Totally agree. Toolchain chaos. Oh, couldn't agree more. One of my biggest gripes about Python. I don't know. This might not be bad. I don't like indentation-based syntax, but maybe worth checking out at some point. All right, let's get back to my friend's thing that he sent me, and we can take a look at this. Um, Chris said Mojo is really just syntactic sugar for MLIR. That's fair. I could see that. What is your most used and favorite Zig library? The standard library is I would recommend the standard library. But if that's not something you're happy with, I've been doing a lot of web stuff in Zig. So HTTP, Zig, Carl, Segwin. I mentioned this earlier. Um, Carl, just in general, has a ton of really great libraries. HTTP.zig is an HTTP server that I tend to use for most web-based Zig things that I'm doing. So I'd recommend that. If you just want to look through some code or want a project to build a small web server with Zig is not hard to do. Um, yeah. Also, the standard library is pretty full featured, or will be pretty full featured. So it'd be good to get comfortable with that too. Zig only shows one error and then quits. Problem tab in VS Code. Z is always just one line. I see. Yeah. So yeah, it's static diagnostics. Yes, that is a pain. I don't know. I don't know what a better solution would be outside of exposing like the full AST to the LSP and then letting the LSP look at the whole thing and try to figure things out on its own. But as it stands right now, the Zig toolchain it does only show you one error at a time, to my knowledge. Mojo hired Veil's creator. They're working on adding groups for memory safety. Super excited about that. Cool. You can argue that Klattner isn't a great language designer. You could argue that anyone's not a great language designer. Don't like Python, but it's okay to use. Flooded chat. Yeah. I like this though. I like it makes me more encouraged to live stream when I have an active chat. I've done a couple live streams before, and sometimes people turn out, sometimes they don't. But this has been fun, and I've gone much longer than I originally intended to. I cannot compile JetZig. That's the Buffalo in Zig. Is that right? JetZig. Yes, this is the Buffalo in Zig. If you don't know what I mean by the Buffalo, it's Go Buffalo. It's this. They're the same thing. Not literally, but um, this is like an all-in-one web framework. Buffalo's an all-in-one web framework with all sorts of fun stuff. If I remember correctly, the Buffalo website used to look like this too. But yeah, I don't know. I've not used JetZig. I don't need all of these things, but it uses HTTP Zig by Carl Seguin. So, maybe that's something you could look at and enjoy if you end up trying to just do the HTTP layer. Like I don't need templating, right? Like most of the time I'm serving JSON or XML or something comparable and letting the front end client handle it. So I don't need all of this. Also realizing this is tiny. My apologies. Yeah. Flexible and powerful and flexible database layer provided by jQuery. I don't know what this is. Is this an ORM? Oh, it's a model. It is an ORM. Or, well, okay, a data access layer, maybe. I'm not so sure I'd call this an ORM, but that's cool. That's good. Zig needs more stuff like that. I personally don't think that ORMs are great. Data access layers can be great, they can also be terrible. But I think that they're pretty accessible, and I think having more accessible options like that, even if it gives you worse code, is helpful in getting people into the language. Forked a lot of dependencies, but it's too hard. Yeah, I don't know if I'd recommend JetZig, to be honest with you. It seems difficult. I get that, like, in a perfect world, it would compile because they would manage all of those dependencies and pinning things for you, but seems like a lot. Okay, back to Fledge. Entity component system. Yep. Okay. Simple enough. Code generation, minimal boilerplate with an annotation based code generation, define components and systems with simple decorators. Fair enough. Automatic parallel system execution based on dependency analysis, get concurrency without complexity. Compose your game with reusable plugins. Only add what you need. Extend with your own modules. Type safe. Love to see it. Desktop first. Okay. ORMs are overrated when you actually want a query engine which looks more graph-like. Yeah, I think that also just like ORMs generally produce pretty terrible code. Generally, especially when you start to get into complex queries. Oh yeah, selectable text. We've got it now. Happy to see it. What is Fledge? Brings the power and ergonomics of Bevy's ECS to Flutter. traditional OOP approach, the ECS approach. Here's a taste of what Fledge code looks like. Yeah, SQL C is nice. I like SQL C. Oh, so you can do either annotations or inheritance. Okay. At component, so we have a position, we have a velocity, movement system is a system, generates a wrapper class. What does that look like? Okay. Let's see if we can get this running. I like the idea. Command Shift T. We'll hop over here, make a new directory called Flomo. It sounds fun because it's the fear of missing out on this awesome Flutter project. And son of a gun. This might take a minute. So I'm going to take a drink of my beverage while we wait. And also, while this is running, I'm just going to check a couple things logistically with the stream. Okay, cool. Cool. Let me pull the chat window back up so that it doesn't stop working. With Fledge, does it compile to bytecode? Not very familiar with Dart and Flutter. No, I would assume not. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it source code wise to see what type of optimizations he's doing behind the scenes. But oh, cool. He's got an actual interactive game that you can play in here. Runs in the browser for demonstrative purposes. Fledge is optimized for desktop applications. Delivers significantly better performance. Cool. Yeah, neat that it kind of works. The guy that made this is really sharp, so I'm excited to see how this actually plays out. Okay. Yeah, this is nice. Good docs, man. Okay, Flutter. Flutter. Uh, Flutter. Okay. What have I done wrong? Me's installed. Oh. Me's use global Flutter at what version did we install? I don't know. Flutter. Yeah, much better. Okay, Flutter create. Give me Flomo. Yeah, you're right. Me's use would have taken care of it. CMake is required for Linux development. Yeah, Lord. This is a somewhat fresh Arch install. I'm missing so many dependencies. Basically, all I've written on this is Zig, a little bit of TypeScript, D. That might be it. All right, try this again. Flutter run. Unable to find build program corresponding to Ninja. You probably see make program not set. Show me the Ninja. Yes. Build systems are usually so unnecessary. Oh, Lord. Please? Come on, Flutter, you got this. Yay! Okay, cool. Default Flutter app. I don't. I don't feel like there's a ton of value in me spending time talking about the default Flutter app. So what we're gonna do is we'll open a folder. We'll look at Flomo, and let's follow some instructions. How about that? Sounds fun. Oh my god, there's so many points to collect. Okay, get started. Introduction, installation. We need build runner and the ECS generator. You got it. Pubspec.yaml. So we need these two. Flutter pub get. Let's get those dependencies and give this a go. Dependency may only have one source. What have I done wrong? Oh. Cool. Got our dependencies. Do we have just a copy and paste example? Create a simple test. Yes, we do. Thank you. Good stuff, Michael. Good stuff. Lib main.dart. Wow. Okay. Holy cow. Sorry, this is doing a lot for you. If that's all that this takes to get running, that's pretty wild. Let's give it a shot. Oops, sorry. Just Flutter run. Okay, we are missing, yeah, build runner. Makes sense. Only needed if using annotations. Okay. I've never had Arch break on me in 3+ years. Yeah, I've not had it break on me yet either. Knock on wood. Flutter itself has the renderer available as a library, and then the target for Dart are machine code. So I suppose that Fledge creates some wrappers around the library primitives that allow ECS like DX. Yeah, I don't know yet. Maybe we'll find out at some point soon. But I just want to make sure we get this running first. So, okay. Oh, I put it in main.dart instead of test ECS. Yep, maybe if I, oh, such a good song. Okay, that's more of what I was expecting to see. Sorry, based off this code, I was like, there's no way that this is doing all of the Flutter stuff behind the scenes for you, right? Okay. Show me, do we have an example? Hierarchies, world observers, game states. Change detection, system sets, run conditions, running the examples. How do I render something? Like, that's what I want to see. ECS has less DX than simpler, dumber approaches. Um, do you have an example? Could you provide more context? Collision, extraction. Ah, okay. So you have a render, essentially a renderer. That's what I was expecting to see. Okay, so in the Flutter case, we would have a custom painter that we're extending, and we'd have a game painter. So he's got a grid game painter in this case. Takes in the render world. Looks like it paints all of that, so it gets the extracted grid config from the resource, creates a paint object, sets it to fill, draws the background, then draws entities. Where's draws entities? Right here. Okay. So it looks at the entity type. If it's a player, we'll draw a player. If it's a collectible, draws a collectible. If it's a tile, draws a tile. Draw a player. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. I really like the separation of concerns where you essentially have like an MVI or MV, well, I guess MVI, but the idea that you essentially have like you have some game state, and then you have like an engine, and like this is where most of your programming takes place, and then somewhere somehow you have a renderer that takes in the game state, and this probably gets called every frame, and this looks at the game state and says, okay, given the game state, here's what I need to draw, here's what I need to draw, here's what I need to draw. And then most of your programming happens here. And then that renderer is also responsible for like responding to user events. So it would, part of rendering it would be binding like click listeners or tap listeners in the case of Flutter, and then those would go back to, how do you, come on, it's really not where I want the arrow to be, but that's fine. Okay, there we go, something like that. I feel like that's a really clean architecture, and then your game state is essentially just a giant struct in that case. I get that there might be some issues with fat structs, I think, as someone pointed out previously, but yeah, I like that. Feels clean, easy to follow, and then separates your rendering concerns. So if you ever wanted to start with like a Dwarf Fortress is actually a really great example. I don't know if this is the architecture they use, but Dwarf Fortress for the longest time was a terminal-based game. So you could write most of your code here, and then since you completely isolate your rendering logic separately, if you were to start with a terminal and then want to actually build a full-on game, not that a terminal game is not a game, but like a graphical game, you could just rewrite the rendering piece, or even allow people to swap out the renderer for one that they're more comfortable with. Fat Structs is a thing popularized by Casey Muratori and Ryan Fleury. Quake 3 even did something similar too. Interesting. Cannot send links because YouTube won't allow links. I wish it would. I don't know. Let me take a look at something really quick. Interesting. I see right here it says hold comments with hashtags and URLs for review, but I don't have that box checked. Oh, URLs and hashtags are already blocked in live chat messages. Okay, yeah, sorry. I guess there's nothing I can do about that. Interesting. Okay. Um, don't need this anymore. Why? Okay, please go back to the homepage. Thank you. Jeez. Okay. I think we might wrap it up here. Starting to get a little tired, and I've been sitting in this chair for close to 3 hours now, so I should probably take a bit of a break. Um, but yeah, so yeah, let me just commit to that instead. I'm going to take a bit of a break and go ahead and shut down the stream. But thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me. I had a lot of fun. Hopefully you did too. And the live will be available sometime if you have questions or want to refer to anything. It should be available sometime soon if you want to go back and rewatch any parts of this. So yeah, thank you so much and have a great day.